Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
You've probably seen it by now, France calling for Palestinian statehood, Keir Starmer pledging to recognize it at the right time, statements flying from European leaders about justice, peace, responsibility. Sounds noble, right? Wrong, because this isn't a breakthrough, it's a distraction. Let's get real, what's being offered here isn't a state, it's a glorified municipality with no army, no borders, no control over airspace, water, resources, or even its own population movement. It's not statehood, it's a shell. It's a pseudo-state under total Israeli control, less than what was offered under Oslo, less than a Bantustan, just enough authority to manage people under siege, never enough to challenge the siege itself. And yet, Macron, Starmer and others parade this as progress. Progress for who? Macron wants to look like de Gaulle. He wants to use Palestine to relaunch France in the Arab world after losing influence in Africa. Saudi Arabia wants to use it to justify normalizing ties with Israel and dragging more Arab and Muslim countries to the Abraham Accords. Starmer, well, he's fooling no one. He's trying to salvage his image within a furious Labour base after backing Israel's war crimes from day one. So no, this isn't about Palestine, it's about optics. It's a diplomatic stunt dressed up as solidarity. And here's the thing, Starmer hasn't recognized Palestine, he's dangling it like bait. His logic: if Israel refuses to negotiate, maybe Britain will recognize Palestine to push them. But if Israel agrees to talks, well, then no recognition. Wouldn't want to derail the process. Let's get this straight. Recognition isn't a right, it's a threat. Something to be withheld if Israel plays along. It's backwards. If Starmer believed in two states, recognition would be the first step, not a bargaining chip. This is not diplomacy, this is appeasement. Gaza faces a manufactured famine, yet instead of halting the siege or sanctioning the siege masters, the West retreats into the fantasy of a virtual state. Words replace pressure, gestures replace justice. Israeli heritage minister says Gaza will be Jewish, that they must find Gazans more painful ways than death. This isn't rhetoric, it's policy, and the West keeps funding it. While Gaza starves, Macron and Starmer are offering a state on paper, a state that exists nowhere, because in the West Bank, settlements have swallowed it whole. From 1993 to now, the settler population more than doubled from 250,000 to over 700,000, despite Oslo, because of Oslo. And here's the pattern. Every time Palestinians rise from the Intifada, the Second Intifada, or now when the world is watching and is sympathetic, the peace process returns not to bring freedom, but to bury it. The promise of a state is not used to deliver liberation, it is used to derail it. So let's rewind. In 1993, the PLO recognized Israel. They gave up 78% of historic Palestine just to negotiate over the remaining 22%, the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem. In return, a promise, a state. But the key issues, the refugees, the right to return, Jerusalem, settlements, were kicked down the road. Final status perpetually under discussion. And what did Israel do? Expand settlements, build the apartheid wall, turn the West Bank into a fortress of walls, rows and watchtowers, and reshape the Palestinian Authority into a security subcontractor, policing its own people. That's the peace process they want to revive. And while they speak of process, over 186,000 Palestinians may have been killed in Gaza. That's not my number, that's from The Lancet. Starmer knows it, Macron knows it, and yet arms keep flowing. Funding continues, no sanctions, no pressure, just recognition as a headline. If they were serious about peace, they'd start by cutting weapons, imposing sanctions, demanding Israel end the occupation and the blockade. Instead, they're offering a flag, a seat at the UN, and total subjugation. Let's call it what it is. This isn't peace, it's the sale of illusions. It's not recognition, it's collaboration with apartheid. Because a state that needs its oppressor's permission to exist is not a state, it's a diplomatic illusion, it's theater over mass graves. So Macron, Starmer, all those selling this fantasy, answer this question: where will this Palestinian state actually exist? In Gaza turned to dust, in the West Bank sliced by wars and settlements, in Jerusalem under annexation, or in Jordan, in Sinai, in Saudi Arabia, as Netanyahu suggested mockingly, or perhaps on Mars. If it's on the land occupied in 1967, then end the occupation. If it's anywhere else, then it's ethnic cleansing with a new logo. Stop selling illusions. We see.
Now, I just want to add an extra comment on that. What she said is completely true. This is just a ploy to keep them public out of the eye, just to give the public a little something. It's like a bait, like a ploy to keep the public happy. But in reality, all these people are puppets. They support the Zionist regime. You know, every time the Palestinians want to have a state, the Israeli settlers come in and they have the backing of Israel, come and take more of the land. Even you see in the video that the settlers they increase the amount, so 250,000 to 700,000 in 1993. And right now is year 2025, God knows how many there are now. This is just a ploy. And yes, we should have a Palestinian state, but also, in order for that to happen, you need to stop arming the people who are creating the genocide. That should be the main basic thing. And after that, we can talk whatever you want. Even the aid that is coming down, it's not that people have to rush into it and the strongest one get it first. To keep fighting over it. Everyone's starving. The women and children are left behind. It's not distributed equally.
Through the mirage.
People are seeing things with their own eyes. And what they're seeing is massive amounts of propaganda. Look what the New York Times had to admit to just in the last few days. I've heard repeat.
What did the New York Times
they admitted
running
they,
a photo that
on.
was a complete and total hoax?
They admitted that they ran a photo of a starving child who also had a disease.
You're gonna defend
Is that
this?
the admission?
It's
Scott,
a
you're gonna
hoax.
act like people
and
aren't
it was
starving?
sent around the world
Okay.
to make people
Scott,
think that Israel
what
had
about
starved that
all
child. He
the-
had a pre-existing
what
condition.
about all the other children in that story? What about them? Are they a hoax?
Abby,
Don't-
there is a
no,
there is
don't,
a
Abby,
there is a
don't- no.
Abby,
Okay.
there
Don't-
is a
don't
coordinated
do that,
propaganda
Scott.
campaign
Don't do
right
that,
now
Scott.
to
Are
paint
all
a
of those
distorted
other-
picture of what's happening.
Are all of those other children a hoax?
Some of them are. There have been other stories
all
about
of those
children being
other
that
children a
Israel's
hoax?
actually paying
There
to
have been
have taken care of for their
there have been
pre-existing
25
conditions.
Even
people
President Trump
who
has
died of
admitted there's
starvation.
starvation
And on-
in
and on-
Gaza.
and on top of
Scott,
that-
hang on a second. You just claimed that this whole thing
They ran
was
a
hoax.
correction. They ran a correction.
What you claimed was that all of these young people, not just young people, but everybody in the world, the photos that they're seeing, the stories that they're reading, the first-person accounts are a hoax? Are they a hoax?
I'm saying that the photo that the New York Times ran and then ran
Okay.
a correction on is a part of a propaganda campaign that is occurring right now.
I do not agree with you on the New York Times photo, but let's say that one was wrong. They ran a correction. Fine. What about all of the other children?
Sure.
What about all of the other
What about
people?
all of the other
So
hoaxes?
when you
I've
say
heard
that this
people
is a
say-
hoax, Scott,
Wait.
no, Scott, I'm putting a stop to the talking points. Okay, that's what I'm doing here.
Are you?
Because I'm talking about human beings.
When are we gonna put a stop to the propaganda?
Listen, we've said it before on this show. We are talking about real things here, not talking points. Leave the talking points at the door.
Can I give you another example?
You have another person who defends Israel's genocide denial. I put him in the category of all the other Zionist folks are. When you say that, all right, the people are starving, but they're not really starving. It's a propaganda. The guy has a disease, the baby had disease, and they're trying to make it that Israel is not starving people, but the people, eyewitnesses, the images we see, we're not stupid. We see everything, but they want to play it. Israel giving aid, it's Hamas that's taking the aid, which they, in fact, the Israeli have empowered the gangs in Gaza to take all the aid. The evidence of that, they're funding them as well and trying to use a Hamas tactic. We've seen all the playbook.
Scott.
Pakistan just signed a huge deal with Iran, and they've created an entire new shipping lane, which the West will have no control over. If you don't know, so this makes sense, Iran recently completed a railway line across their entire country for cargo trains to travel on. so that Iran doesn't have to use cargo ships. Now, this railway is connected to Turkey and Europe, and it's connected all the way up to Russia, meaning that any trade which comes through Iran and on these railways can go to those countries without having to go there by sea. Now, looping it back now, it might make sense. Pakistan just signed a deal with Iran for them to join this railway line and join this new shipping lane. Originally, Pakistan would have to send cargo ships pretty much halfway around to the entire world just to send stuff to Europe and Russia. But with this new Iranian railway line, it means that Pakistan won't have to do that, and they'll be able to send their cargo directly to Europe and Russia on trains just through Iran. So not only is Pakistan now going to save a huge amount of money in shipping costs, but it also means that other countries won't be able to influence Pakistan's cargo ships. For example, if other countries wanted to, they would be able to stop Pakistan from doing trade with other countries. They would be able to physically stop the cargo ships or even turn them around. But obviously they won't be able to do that now because Pakistan has signed this deal with Iran to send the cargo by train rather than by ship. Of course though, as usual, you can leave.
This is another reason why you shouldn't depend on the West. Yes, you should be independent. I believe every country should be independent and not rely on any other country or nation. The one is that you be too reliant and you don't be self-serving. You can't think for yourself, you can't do anything by yourself. And with this economic route, this will be a help for Iran, help for all the people that it's connected the line to. It will be safer. If you're going by boat, you see, the guy in the video said that even the US can stop the boats from coming in for whatever reason, and it costs fuel and everything. If it's going by train, saves a lot of money and it's more efficient. It's a win-win for everyone.
Give me a follow for some more global.
You see in the video that people are taking action themselves, they just can't take it that the country is funding the genocide, I mean, you're pushing someone to the curb, the people are literally starving, kids are dying every day. Even when I'm doing these videos, God knows how many kids are dying, people have enough of this, but yet the government has been complicit. That's why we need to have a change, vote, speak out, boycott, whatever you can do, Anyway, I'm gonna end the video there. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.